Hi everybody and welcome to a live feed with Tony and Avery. And I had a bit of a problem on Tuesday with my feed, so I do apologise for anybody that was watching me live on Tuesday because it was an absolute disaster. Interesting enough, I had a couple of hundred views as it turned out. I don't know how that happened. Good afternoon, PWR. It's good to know that you're online as well. I have been trying to feed this to Facebook, but that failed again today. I'll work that one out at a later date. And there's lots to talk about, as always. But remember, look, folks, it doesn't cost anything to subscribe to my channel. Ring the bell for further notifications. I put up a really interesting post earlier today, which I hope that you all will watch because it is having a go at my favourite friend, my buddy, Mr. Murray, on Rita Panahy's show. So worth having a look at, though. There, and just join us in the conversation because our conversations are always lively, interesting, and our conversations are about you. We've got a number of viewers online as we speak. So let us know what's on your mind, what sort of things you'd like to talk about. We've got a number of things that we could talk about today. And we're going to kick off, I think, by introducing. I forgot I've got Avery online as well, so I may just as well do the right thing by Avery and say, "Hi, mate, how you going?"
Good. How are you?
Good. Thanks. All fired up and ready to go because we're going to have a ripper of a day today. We had a fantastic day last Thursday, and it was a lot of fun, wasn't it? Because we were just saying before we came on air that we kind of talked about a lot of shit. Wandered all over the countryside, did take note of the things that people were saying, and that created some of the conversation. Particularly, there was this conversation, and I haven't seen them come online at the moment from DT, but there was a lively conversation on abortion, which just came out of the blue.
Yeah.
And Avery, I think should we start with just what your response to all of that was, and what you told me you're going to do about it over the next week or so.
Yeah. Well, that discussion on abortion actually started 2 weeks ago when I did when we did that video about why I cannot stand Christianity and religion in general. But one particular viewer has got this idea that abortions occur 1 minute before the due date. The time a baby gestation is 40 weeks. They paint this picture that a huge number of abortions occur at 39 weeks, 23 hours and 59 minutes, 1 minute before the baby's due. I don't know how the hell they know that, but anyway, this was
just give us an overview. We can have the debate later. Give us an overview as to what happened and what you're going to do. I think as a matter of responding to it, I think would be helpful.
I was asking for evidence to support the claim that they were making, and they were just throwing claims at me, about the number of late-term abortions, the babies being pushed into corners of a hospital and just left to die, and things like that. And I was saying, "Where's your evidence? Where's your evidence?" I didn't say they were wrong. Never once did I say they were wrong. I said, "Where's your evidence?" This person eventually provided me with a bit of evidence, which was from Dr. Joanne Howe. Which you think, well, doctor must be medical researcher and things like. She's a lawyer, right? She's a practicing Catholic. So I was asking for evidence from an unbiased source, and I got a Catholic abortion activist was the evidence that was given to me. What I intend doing is I've been looking into what DT's been saying. And I've been collecting my evidence against what this person is saying, and I'm going to put together a video sometime over the next couple of weeks, and we'll announce when it's available and where they'll be able to find it.
So if anybody wants to follow through, if you're watching that discussion last week and you want to follow through on that, we will make you aware on this show where Avery has posted that response, so that you also can get some sense as to what that is all about. But there's plenty of other issues, lots of people online, great to see. haven't dropped out yet, so that's kind of history making. So I'm happy with that.
Very,
But I
very,
wanted
very,
to start with Avery. Before we started talking about the International Criminal of the Year,
yeah,
and is that a fair enough way of describing him?
very good way of describing it. Very quickly, nothing to do with that. I've just put my email address in the chat. So if anybody wants to send a question to me, they can send it to that address. Avery at
Right.
Secret AU.
So there's some discussion happening at the moment with regard to Susan Lee, Joyce and Hasty, and so on. So we're just following that discussion, which is a great discussion to have. We'll start with this thing, and we'll get back to that discussion in a moment. Keep having that discussion amongst yourselves. I'll bring it up so that Avery and I can have a deeper, darker dive into those issues because they're really relevant. Particularly with regard to Barnaby Joyce and what he's done today. But so we'll talk about that in a moment. But the international criminal being our friend, our colleague,
The Pirate Caribbean.
yeah. So, and that's the issue around him destroying all those motorboats that are cruising through the Caribbean because they are carrying drugs that kill some 300 million people in the United States on a yearly basis.
Yeah, he's a war criminal. He's attacking ships in the sovereign waters of a foreign nation. He's got no he claims that they are narco terrorists trafficking drugs. If they are trafficking drugs and they're taking them from one part of Venezuela to another part of Venezuela because they're not even entering international waters, he's just blasting the shit out of them because he can do it. And
I think one of the interesting issues too about that, Avery, is those particular boats that they've bombed wouldn't be able to make it to the US mainland anyway.
No. I mean, some people said, oh, they're just fishing boats. He's saying they're narco terrorists. Well, okay, if they are, prove it.
I do need to admit though that they're very fast fishing boats. As they're racing, they've got dual engines. They're racing across the ocean. Who knows? Who knows?
I've been out fishing out there on Gulf St. Vincent, and we went out on a boat that had two bloody great big outboard motors to get us out to where we wanted to fish.
That's true. That's true.
But he wasn't president at the time, so if I'd been out,
you avoided being bombarded by him. And I just need to say, Avery, that it has come to my attention that we have a number of people who watch us from Adelaide. And there's a certain person from up in the Adelaide Hills who watches us, and I just want to send a cheerio to that person as well. And also, can you let us know if you are in Australia, where you're from, and if you are elsewhere if you're elsewhere in the world, also let us know. I didn't mean to put that up. I meant to put this up. Let us know, and please remember to subscribe to the channel and all that sort of stuff. Okay, now, what's going to happen in relation to Trump's endeavours to prevent these people from... So is this... Because there's also this issue around Venezuela, isn't there? That he plans to bomb. He plans to... I don't know, not bomb. Or maybe it is. But he does plan to invade Venezuela as well.
Invading Venezuela. He's attacking Venezuelan boats in Venezuelan waters. That is a war crime. That's an act of war, right? He has basically declared war on Venezuela without saying we're at war with Venezuela. Yeah. He has said in the past that they are at war with the United States. That they're invading. They invaded Aurora in Colorado, I think it was, and took over Aurora. It's only 2,000 miles inland from the Gulf of Mexico, and somehow the Venezuelans got from right across the Caribbean Sea and the Gulf of Mexico all the way up to Aurora with an army which nobody knew about, nobody saw coming, and they took over Aurora.
So what's his intention is to ensure that there's a change of government in Venezuela that will prevent the drugs from being manufactured, even though the fentanyl, which he's so concerned about, doesn't come from Venezuela anyway.
The drug from from Venezuela would be cocaine.
Cocaine, yeah.
If he's sinking boats full of cocaine, Don Jr. is going to be really pissed off. Right?
Fair comment. Yeah.
Um,
And what about the other
the-
issue too? The other issue too that's come up recently has been about starting nuclear testing in the US on the back of, I think, on the back of Putin saying he's starting nuclear testings as well, not to mention North Korea doing nuclear testings on a daily basis. So there's this froth of I don't know what the word would be, but of antagonism, of developing this sense that this is his intent on this notion around war, I think, as opposed to this intent about non-proliferation and preventing war. He wants that. Russia has more warheads than the US do, even though Trump declares something completely different. But so what's this fight about in terms of wanting to be nuclear superior?
In Trump's case, who knows? He doesn't know from one day to the next. He doesn't know from 1 minute to the next what he's thinking. Right? He is showing all the signs of frontotemporal dementia. Right? He's showing signs of a left hemisphere stroke. Right? He does not know what he's doing. I would say that a major reason for a lot of things he's doing, the Epstein files. Let's go to war with Venezuela, then we won't be talking about the Epstein files. Let's start nuclear testing, so we're not talking about the Epstein files, right?
Of course, let's have a government-wide shutdown as well, so that Congress can't get back to get the votes they need to release those files either. Yeah. So that's the other issue for Trump.
I mean, I saw this thing today, which is the Americans have got a new stealth aircraft, which is completely invisible to all radar and detection systems, because what they do is they just paper it with the pages from the Epstein files, which renders it completely invisible.
Oh, I do like that. And so there's all this, like, where are we going? Look, hold on. Let's just start from the beginning. Yeah. Trump is a disaster. We can all see that is a disaster. The thing that concerns me the most about Trump is how he will impact us. What he is likely to do. And, we just had this meeting with Albo and Trump, and then Trump goes off and meets him at ASEAN in Kuala Lumpur, and or in South Korea or wherever it was, and they're shaking hands, and, Sky News are reporting back saying they are the best of friends. Sky News is saying it. I tell you what, if Sky News are reporting that things are good with Trump and Albo, then, the sky has turned pink. Yes. I'm concerned about the nature of the universe if Sky News are agreeing with anything that Trump is doing. But it seems to be working. I mean, and we didn't even give him like the Japanese gave him a gold crown. I don't know whether you saw that. You there, mate?
Which Sky News are you talking about? Sky News UK?
No, Sky News Australia.
Well, they normally agree with Trump anyway, don't they?
Yeah, I know, but they usually disagree with Albo. So they're kind of, you know what I mean? Like, they're kind of confused.
Agreeing with Trump. That's why I asked which Sky News you were talking about.
Yeah. No, Sky News are unable. They're struggling. They're wanting. So the only thing they found to criticise Albo on at the moment was this shirt, the T-shirt that he was wearing.
I don't blame. They criticised him for that. Yeah, I agree with that one.
But Sherry Markson's been onto it for the last 3 days. She can't let it go. It's just a frigging T-shirt. So anyway, but the interesting thing is that they have nothing further at the moment. They'll get back to net zero later on, but they're waiting for the Liberal Party to decide which way they're going to go. They're waiting also for to decide which way Barnaby Joyce is going to lean. Sorry.
One Nation.
One Nation, yeah. Whether you'll go with One Nation, I saw an interview with Pauline Hanson last week, asking her about that, and my God, she was indignant. Like, how dare you how dare you even go? So she has. Bring up this post, this article, which kind of relates to that. So she says, "Don't write me off." Hanson scoffs at suggestion Joyce is about to lead One Nation. One Nation, Pauline Hanson, has declared she is not going anywhere, and rubbish suggestions Barnaby Joyce is about to take over from her as the boss of the Conservative minor party. So this is the interview on Sky News. The 71-year-old acknowledged she will quit politics one day, declaring, "I'm not that stupid." This is debatable. I'm not that stupid. How stupid does she think that she is? I haven't got an ego that big, is what she says. So
she doesn't have a large ego.
Apparently not.
She's not stupid.
Well, there's two incredible contradictions there that have got me a bit bewildered.
Pauline Hanson is, who are you, and what did you do with the real Pauline Hanson?
Yeah, exactly.
Her saying that, I'm not stupid, I haven't got a big ego. Who are you?
We should ask her what xenophobic is again, and see whether she can explain it after all these years. Probably not. So she goes. So she goes on to say, I'll just discuss this just a little bit further. My attitude is if someone can do a better job than I can, fair enough, but don't write me off at the moment. So she's clearly there for the long haul, and we'll have to see what happens. But Barnaby, so there's another story about Barnaby today. I hope we're not jumping all over the place too much, but we've got lots of DT's on, mate, and all you come up with all. Do a bit that I'll do right. DT's on. I'll bring that up for you. Well, wait a moment. We'll keep you in abeyance for a little bit, because believe it or not, there are far more important things to talk about than what you want to talk about.
I would just like to repeat that my world does not revolve around DT, waiting for DT to respond to me. As I said at the beginning of this show, I'm going to put together a video to explain why I think DT is wrong, and all
you come up with is, "I'll do a video." DT says, right? Okay. Well, can I bring up DT later? Right, because there's other stuff that we need to talk about. But can I just say to those people that are online, of which there are quite a few, just have a debate about. About those issues, and then we can kind of talk about them later as well. So the other thing I want to talk about is Barnaby Joyce, who just seems to be in the limelight at the moment, Avery, for all the wrong reasons. And I'll ask you your opinion of Barnaby in just a moment. But today the news is that he had an argument with one of his staffers in his office. Now, you've got to remember that a lot of the staffers that they have in their office are federal government public servants. They're not necessarily staffers working for the National Party or whatever. They're appointed often to do that work. So I don't know who this person is. But anyway, he was wanting leave to leave Parliament to go to a funeral. And you have to, as a politician, this is your business, this is your house, this is your... you're obligated to do certain things. One of the obligations is to let the House know when you're not going to be there. So he had to sign a form, and they presented him with this form, and he just exploded, apparently, at this person who has since registered a complaint with the parliamentary body in relation to that. And it's almost like what you see happening with Barnaby is kind of an unwinding. You know, why is he unwinding in the way that he is? He's only, I forget his age, is he 56 or something? I don't think he's 60 yet. Is he? Anyway, however old he is, he's not as old as 71, which is the age of Pauline Hanson. So he is unravelling before our very eyes. And there are two things about this. What does this mean for him? And what does it mean for the Liberal National Party, the National Party in particular, given that Barnaby, their loudest voice, is about to disappear?
Yeah, as I said, I can see him going to One Nation. I mean, the right-wing parties here are lurching even further to the right, for some reason thinking that's going to help them. You'd think that they'd have learned from May, this year's election, that a lurch to the right is not going to help you. But they seem to be going that way. I can. Was it 2 or 3 days ago? I was reading an article in. It might be in the Australian. Can't remember which paper it was, but I was reading an article about the end of the Liberal Party. What's his name? Menzies, was it? He'd be turning in his grave if he saw what was happening to the Liberal Party now. The guy that founded it in the 1940s, he'd be turning in his grave if he saw what's happening to it now. Barnaby Joyce, I think, is lost.
I think it's almost like Barnaby's has discovered his end use date.
Yeah,
and is no longer.
He's reached the end. He can't. He's never going to be prime minister. Right? Even if he joins One Nation, he's never going to be prime minister. Right?
If he joins One Nation, he might lose his seat entirely.
Yeah, that's not necessarily a bad thing either.
No, that's a plus.
Yeah.
So it's a bit sad, like I reflect back on Barnaby and him being captured lying on the pavement, pissed as could be, and then his second marriage and separating from his wife because he had a relationship with his secretary and all that sort of crap.
Yeah.
So he's had a very checkered existence.
A good conservative.
A very good conservative.
Family values.
Absolutely. So maybe that's the end of Barnaby. Who knows?
As well.
Barnaby off the juicer, is he? Somebody says. So I wanted to come to this particular issue, which is in relation to how we're viewing what's happening in Gaza also right at the moment. There's so many topics for us to talk about. We've been travelling for 23 minutes and we've covered a fair bit as it is, but we're going to come back to DT, so don't go away, DT, who's just ranting and raving here at the moment, having a conversation with everybody else. Sorry, mate?
DT is attacking D at the moment.
All right, well, best of British luck, because D. Well, I don't know if Dee's declared this, but Dee's a theologian. She's a doctor in theological experiences, if I can put it that way. So best of luck debating D. D. I wish you all the bloody best, and hope you can survive the experience. And believe me, I'm speaking from experience. So I just wanted to refer.
She's a much smarter woman than I am, and DT thinks that they can.
Well, I'd like to, this may have come as a shock to you, Avery, but you're not a woman. But you might be confused. You might be in transition right now. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I'm in transition.
I thought so. The facial hair is an issue, but you'll get over it. Just take the right pills, buddy. You'll be fine. Yeah, so I wanted to come to this issue. So we often find that we're combated, or we're confronted by what's happening in Gaza, and that conflict that sits between Gaza and the terrible things that have happened to Palestinian people. And I've been railing about this for well over a year now, and that the conflation that happens between we as people that can see specifically what's happening in Gaza and are horrified by the genocide, and wishing that somehow it would all come to an end. And identifying, and Avery, I'll get you to talk about this in a second, and getting us to identify that what actually is happening is as a result of ethnic cleansing and is a policy of the IDF and the Israeli government. but which is not about Jewism. We must get that out of our head. It is not about Jewism. It's about political endeavours and a notion around wanting to clear the countryside of anything that isn't you. So, but some people have come out talking about this, some Jewish people, some important Jewish people. So Jewish figures across the globe call on UN and world leaders to sanction Israel. So this is an open letter to Israel, and these are Israeli ex-officials, artists and intellectuals saying unconscionable actions in Gaza amount to genocide. Prominent Jewish figures around the world are calling on the United Nations and world leaders to impose sanctions on Israel over what they described as unconscionable actions amounting to genocide. Over 450 signatories, including former Israel officials, Oscar winners, authors and intellectuals, have signed an open letter demanding accountability over Israel's conduct in Gaza, the occupied West Bank and East Jerusalem. The latest release comes as EU leaders meet in Brussels on Thursday amid reports they plan to shelve proposals for sanctions over human rights violations. Just this last bit I'll cite to you. We have not forgotten that so many of the laws, charters and conventions established to safeguard and protect all human life were created in response to the Holocaust. The signatures right. Those safeguards have been relentlessly violated by Israel. So, Avery, what we're left with there is this notion that sanctions should be placed against Israel. And this is a matter for Australia as well, because we haven't done enough. There was a report in The Guardian today, I think it was, that talked about the continual use of Australian technology being shipped to Israel to be used in this fight. And I would argue that at this particular point, we should do what we can to ensure that nothing, zero, is ever, of any sort, of any type, of any description, should be sent to Israel. That we should make a stand. You're puzzling over this. This is worrying me.
The reason I'm puzzling over this is that what they are doing, attacking innocent Palestinians, is one thing. They are doing it in response to a terrorist attack. Now, if we say we're not going to support any country that's going to take on terrorists, right, then do not the terrorists win?
Well, I think you might need to define what you mean by win. Winning what? So this is the argument put about Hamas. So supporting a two-state solution. So hold on for a second. Hold on. Yeah. Stop it. Stop breathing. So the issue around two-state solution, for example, Avery, people will argue that means that Hamas have won. Well, at the end of the day, is this about Hamas? Is it about political leadership in Gaza? Or is it about safeguarding Palestinian lives? I'm going for the third. I'm going for some way to safeguard Palestinian lives, women and children in particular.
I would like to see Palestinian lives saved.
Good.
I think that what this thing is about right now, there's three people on this planet, all in their 70s, and I'm not talking about you and me, we're both in our 70s. Donald Trump, Benjamin Netanyahu, Putin, all doing something to avoid going to prison. Right? Netanyahu, Trump's is doing things with Venezuela to distract from the Epstein files. Putin is trying to avoid. He's being charged in the International Criminal Court. Certain countries, if he steps in them, he's going to get arrested. Netanyahu, he's been indicted for fraud, and he's trying to avoid prison. They're all doing it for the same reason. I think that's Netanyahu's motivation. He doesn't care about the two-state solution. He doesn't care about the Palestinians. All he cares about is not going to prison. I think
I
that's
agree, and we should. I think we should acknowledge, though, and I'm keen to acknowledge that this is not, and never have been about the Jewish faith.
No.
No, and that is horrible. And I have to, and I don't know why I keep apologising for this, but I feel embarrassed that I have to keep apologising for what happened on October the 7th, 2023. Because we all know it was horrible. It should never have happened. We know that Hamas is a terrible organisation and so on. But we also know, and there's a wonderful piece. Oh God, I should have kept it. There's a wonderful piece by Mahdi Hassan in The Guardian, where, just bear with me. I'm going to see if I can find it. And in this particular piece, Mahdi talks about the release of a particular person that's whose name I can never remember. Hold on, bear with. I'm just going to see if I can find it here. Where is it? No, I can't find it now. Bugger it! It must have gone. I looked at it earlier.
While you're looking there, Heliocentric has said one man's freedom fighter is another man's terrorist. Remember, Netanyahu supported Hamas because they did want a two-state solution. Hamas have never wanted a two-state solution. Hamas has always been from the river to the sea, the complete and utter destruction of the state of Israel.
And we mustn't forget too that Netanyahu used the same language.
Yeah.
As well. So what's that all about? I wish I could just find that bit about.
Well, the phrase "the river to the sea" started with in the 1940s when the state of Israel was founded. Shortly before it was founded, where I can't remember the guy's name. He was an Arab leader. He said that if the nation of Israel is created, there'll be a bloodbath, and that from the river to the sea, there'll be no Jews left.
The point I was going to make, which I haven't been able to find Mahdi's article, worth looking at, and I just haven't got the time to do so. But the point he was making was that there is a prisoner that the IDF have, who, according to Mahdi Hassan, the Palestinians, who is not Hamas, who has been referred to as the Palestinian Mandela. That is someone that every side would agree could actually broker peace. And they asked for his release when they were releasing those people kept prisoner by the IDF. Yeah, they were asking for him to be released, but they refused to release him because, according to Mahdi, if they release him, it would is more likely to bring about a more rapid peace to Gaza than by keeping him locked up. That's the story.
In the history of the Middle East, there's been, I think it was 6 times that a two-state solution was proposed. 6 times a two-state solution was accepted by the Israeli government. This was until 2005. Ehud Barak was the prime minister at the time. Each time it was accepted by the Israelis, and each time it was rejected by the Palestinians.
Yeah.
Right.
And there have been, but on top of that, there have been some which peace agreement has been reached, and those agreements have been broken by the Palestinians because they decided to bomb Gaza.
Yeah, they haven't.
They haven't stuck by their agreements either.
There hasn't been any peace agreements. There's been ceasefires.
No. Well, I didn't mean agreement. I meant ceasefire.
Ceasefires. This current thing, Trump's talking about the peace deal between Israel and Gaza. It's not a peace deal. It's a ceasefire. Yeah. And it's been reached already by the Israelis. And on day one of the so-called ceasefire, the Hamas were rounding up people and shooting them in the streets. They were rounding up Gazans and shooting them in the streets.
Yeah.
Right? Because these people were opposed to what Hamas was doing.
Yeah.
Right? The Israelis broke the ceasefire as well.
Yeah.
You know, both of them are guilty.
It goes both ways. Both of them are guilty of it. I understand that. But my point is that there is a person who is revered enough to be able to settle some of these issues and to be the leader of the Palestinian people, but the Israelis won't release him.
That was the article that Mehdi Hassan did in the Guardian. I saw that. I read that. I've read the newspaper, the Guardian, for about 60 years now.
Right. I can't say that I don't know how long I've been reading for a long time. So, and then the other issue for me was, so what's going to happen now I'm just going to finish with this. This is the only international issue that I want to talk about, and that's what's going to happen in the West Bank as a result of what's happening in Gaza, and whether anything will change. I don't know if you've got a view on the West Bank, but clearly it's getting worse.
The West Bank,
for the Palestinians.
The West Bank, a major part of the problem goes back to a grey-haired old man who's in charge of Israel at the moment, Netanyahu, allowing settlers to go in there, kick Palestinians out their homes and take them over, and
some of the Palestinians make their living from the olive groves, Avery, and at the moment the settlers are preventing them from beating them up. In fact, old women are being beaten up while they're trying to access the olive groves.
There's that woman that just had clubbed with her by some Israeli settler, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
A masked Israeli settler, and he takes a club and decides to beat the shit out of this. I don't know whether it was a young woman or an old woman.
It was an elderly woman.
An elderly woman.
Yep.
Because
they're gutless. So, and the end result too may be that they will annex the West Bank as well, which will just mean it'll be Israel's, and so much for any form of two-state solution if that ever happens, I reckon. Yeah. So, moving along.
Very, very quickly on that.
Yep.
It's people it's the ultra-Orthodox in the Knesset that want that to happen. The Jewish equivalent of the evangelical Christians.
Yeah.
Right? Those people on the far right of Judaism that say that West Bank belongs to Israel. Gaza belongs to Israel. They're the ones that's driving that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And depend upon those people to stay in power and therefore stay out of prison.
Yeah. Comparing a people's liberation movement with a colonial enterprise is a brain dead take Tony and Not going to lie. Oh, fair enough. So,
Dr. Nathan.
Okay. This particular dude. So I like your outfit, man. So comparing a people's liberation movement with a colonial enterprise is a brain dead take, Tony and Avery. Not going to lie.
Which is the People's Liberation Movement?
Well, I guess that's Hamas. And the colonial enterprise is, I guess that's what you're saying. And the colonial enterprise is Israel.
Does Dr. Nathan really think that if Hamas took total control, that people in Gaza would be free?
Well, the people in Gaza, to be fair, Hamas has done some terrible things. They provided them with hospitals. They provided them with universities. Yep. They provided them with, electricity and free running water to some extent when it wasn't cut off by Israel. So they did provide them with something.
But they take somebody who disagrees with them, kneels them down in the street and shoot them in the back of the head. That's Hamas. Right?
Yeah, I would argue that's no different. There's no different from the IDF shooting children while they're going to get food.
Yeah.
So we don't have to argue about that. Both sides are as bad as each other, I reckon. I think the IDF's a terrorist organisation as well. So I accept that as well. So I don't know whether that's what he's referring to. Sinn Féin is not a great job. Is doing a great job in Ireland. Sinn Féin are now in Parliament. Yeah. Don't disagree.
Is not the IRA.
Sinn Féin not doing not doing a great job in Ireland. That's a sarcastic response, I guess, because they have got seats in their parliament. Okay, so just want to finish on this one note before we continue with this other conversation that DT's having, because I can see you champing at the bit. So there's this other article here which I wanted to bring up, which is about climate change. And so it's titled, what's it in the SMH? Hurtling towards climate chaos, feedback loops are accelerating global heating. So planetary... So this is by the experts, which if you're a climate denier, you're going to say these experts don't really matter. And you're going to, bring in coal into the Parliament House, or going to bring in some ice and say that things aren't melting. The reality is that they are. Planetary heating is accelerating because of dangerous feedback loops, which are already contributing to global instability. Top climate scientists write at the 7th Annual State of the Climate Report, one of the most effective levers to avert catastrophe include deploying renewable energy, protecting forests and improving farming practices. They say we are hurtling towards climate chaos. The planet's vital signs are flashing red. The consequences of human-driven alterations of the climate are no longer future threats, but are here now. And I, Avery, think that is a devastating report.
Yeah, I agree. One thing they said there, which... protecting forests, I agree. We should protect our forests. More important, to protect the oceans, because most of the oxygen in the atmosphere comes from the oceans. A lot of the carbon dioxide that's taken out of the atmosphere is taken out by the phytoplankton in the oceans, not the Amazonian rainforest or the rainforest in the Congo, places like that, by the forests, trees. Most of it's taken out, a larger percentage is taken out by phytoplankton in the oceans. So we've got.
And they're saying in this report too, Avery, that one of the interesting features is that as this gets worse, the issues that we have with the Iceland and the Arctic melting, and all the other changes that we have in the world just accelerates as those things get worse. Everything. The provisions or the protections that we had in our environment start to disappear, and it's just going to get worse. So by the end of this century, and my wife and I were sitting down thinking about this, but it's an issue. So you and I will not experience the ultimate devastation that's going to come from this, and neither will our children to some extent. They will be impacted slightly. It'll be our great.
Start to really experience it.
It'll be our grandchildren and their children.
Yeah,
they're the ones. And if we really care about the planet, what we're going to do about it, we have to push back against the climate deniers, and we have to face the facts that even here in Australia, where we're only responsible for 3 or 4% of the issues, that at least we can be doing something. Is it better to do that? It's like, it always reminds me of the fact that, when World War II broke out, or even World War One, it was so far away from us. Would it have been better for us simply said, no, we won't get involved? Is that the deal? Like if it's not affecting you, if you don't think you've got much influence over it, bugger it, I won't get involved. Is that the way it works?
My thoughts about that is when they came for the journalists, no, I didn't say anything. When they came for the priests, I didn't say anything. When they came for these people, I didn't say anything. When they came for me, there was nobody left to talk about me. Right? If you don't, I'm very vocal about how much I despise Trump. Right? He is a fascist. I do my tiny little bit that I can do to expose his fascism, because we've all got to fight it. Every one of us should be fighting that, because otherwise we're going to end up with a Hitler's Germany again. But it'll be Trump. He'll be shipping. Well, in his case, it'll be Mexicans and Venezuelans off to gas chambers, right? everybody should join that fight. Same with climate change. Everybody should be joining that fight against the climate denying, I'm going to say it, morons, scientifically illiterates who read something that they see or they see something on YouTube and, oh yeah, that must be true because I saw it on YouTube. Right? It must be DT again giving evidence.
That's why, Avery, that's why people watching us are saying, whatever we say must be true. Well, according to some of these comments, not everybody agrees with us. So whatever is on YouTube is not necessarily true.
Yeah, but people, we've got people who they've got a first year high school level understanding of science and no more, and yet they think they know more than the climate scientists. They think these climate scientists make millions of dollars out personally every year through this. They don't. Yeah. Right? They're the same with the scientists that research vaccines. The anti-vaxxers think they make millions of dollars personally. They're all ultra wealthy from the work they do. They're not.
Yep. Yeah.
Right? But these morons, I shouldn't say morons. These scientifically illiterate people, because they don't understand the science. They don't make any attempt to understand the science. They're not interested in understanding the science. Think they know better.
I think too, these are the sort of people, whereas if you had a growth somewhere on your body and a doctor came up and said, well, that's cancerous, it's likely to spread, get into your bones, bingo, that's the end of you. And they'll hunt around for that one doctor who says, no, that's not necessarily true, even though at the end of the day, you die because of the problem. So, it's terrible. Look, Avery, we've got about 10, 15 minutes to go, and I wanted to give you an opportunity to address some of what DT's saying. So I'll do whoever DT is, and DT hasn't had the courage to identify who she is, really. And it might be helpful if she did. I mean, we identify who we are, and lots of people on this have photos of themselves, and they identify. So clearly DT's in hiding, which is fine. You're entitled to do that. But this was her statement to start with. You've had 2 weeks to address babies left to die in kidney dish. Fact, see federal Hansard. I don't know what you're referring to there, because you should refer us to the actual volume of Hansard. Potassium nitrate into a baby's heart.
I know.
No idea. Sorry, I have.
There are allegations that doctors inject potassium nitrate directly into a baby's heart to kill it. Can you leave the message up so I can see it?
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
See if I can bring it back up.
Yeah. There's allegations that potassium nitrate is injected directly into a baby's heart to kill it. If you inject potassium nitrate into somebody's heart, with a sufficient dose, you're going to kill them. Absolutely right. That's going to happen. The allegations that babies are put in a kidney dish and then pushed off into a corner of a ward somewhere and left to die. The thing that this person does not understand is that is not evidence. That is a claim. That means that the evidence, and they use the word fact. They don't know what a fact is if they think that is a fact. A fact is something that is demonstrably true. I'm not saying that this person is wrong. I'm saying they haven't made their case. They want to make their case. They've got to provide facts that are demonstrably true. Come from
clearly they have, because it's in Hansard somewhere. We don't know where. Hansard's it's quite a few volumes every day, so I don't know where the hell that claim's come from. But nevertheless, it is there.
The fact that it's in Hansard doesn't make it true. Some politician stood up and said something. So what? Does this person think that all politicians are the most honest people on the planet?
Yeah.
No, they're not. Right? You've got this this DT mentioned a Dr. Joanna Howe as an authority, as this is evidence for it. Dr. Joanna Howe is actually a doctor of law, not a medical doctor, not got no scientific expertise at all. Dr. Joanna Howe, or Joanne Howe, is a practicing Catholic. The position of the Catholic Church is that, just like DT, that abortion is a sin. Right? The 79 babies that DT refers to, DT did not provide the source. I eventually found it. I found it before DT then went in and added the source into another comment somewhere. It comes from the South Australian Abortion Reporting Commission. That there were 79 late-term abortions between the year 2022 and 2025. There were 79 late-term abortions. A late-term abortion in South Australia is defined as any abortion after 22 weeks and 6 days. The thing that DT was saying was, DT, I don't know, male or female, don't know. DT asked, is it okay to kill a baby 1 minute before birth? Well, how do you know that the baby's going to be born 1 minute later? You don't. The implication of what? The implication of, I'm not your friend, DT.
I'm just punching in some of her statements.
Saw the comment. I'm not human rights buddy. DT does not understand human rights, because
I think this one's important.
Ignoring the human right of the mother of the pregnant person. The 79 babies. Joanne Howe used the same source that I found from the South Australian Abortion Reporting Commission, which said that there were 79 babies over those 3 years. And what Joanne Howe said is that it wasn't the physical health of the mother, or mother-to-be, that was the reason for the termination. You look at the chart, and on the left-hand side, it gives the reason for the abortion. Yeah. And on those cases, those 79 cases, the reason was the physical health of the mother. So Joanne Howe is not being honest. DT didn't. I don't think DT's read the article at all. Hasn't read the paper. Nowhere does it say in the South Australian Commission's report that it wasn't the mother's health was the reason.
Yeah, I guess my point in this discussion too, Avery, is are you hoping to be able to persuade DT that her arguments are invalid, so that she will then, or he or she or that or it or there, will then decide to think differently? Is this the objective here? Like, what's your aim?
What I've said to DT several times over the past couple of weeks is that if they can provide actual evidence, in other words, research data points that are independent, that don't come from biased sources like a Catholic activist, right? That come from independent research that is verifiable, and it's not just a claim, an allegation. Doctors are doing this.
Yeah, and it's not. And even signing Hansard. Can I just say that referring to Hansard is not. They can say anything in Parliament. I mean, it's like saying I'm going to believe everything that's in Hansard because Pauline Hanson said it in the Senate and it was recorded in Hansard. Well, that's a crazy notion to start with, and it's not verifiable. Many of what's said, unless they're tabling a specific report, that's different. But then you go off and you look at the tabled report.
The thing, as an MP, you can basically stand up and say anything and you've got parliamentary privilege. You could stand up and say, this person is a paedophile, and you're protected. You can't be sued for it.
I wish they'd do that more often.
Yeah. I mean, Darren Hinch did, right?
He did too, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't he get into trouble for that in the end?
You can say whatever you. I don't think he did. You can say whatever you want in Parliament, and you're protected. So the fact that it says something in Hansard is irrelevant, right? Unless that what is said in Hansard, that person whoever it was that said it, then provided a source of independent research that backed up what was said.
Yep. So your argument, okay. So your argument basically for DT and anybody else that takes this position, or any position for that matter, is just present me with the identifiable peer-reviewed type research.
Evidence to back up what they're saying. And if DT can do that, if DT can provide verifiable evidence that's independent, that's got nothing to do with any church or any activist group that's either pro or against abortion, I don't care which, right?
Yeah.
If they provide that evidence,
I thought you might like that one.
leave that one up there. Leave that one up there. If DT can provide that evidence, I will join DT in campaigning against it. Now, I'm complicit in killing babies. No, I'm not, right? It's not semantics. And if you, DT, make an allegation, this is another thing you clearly don't understand, and that's the thing called the burden of proof. If you make a positive statement, doctors are injecting potassium nitrate into a baby's heart so they can kill it, it's up to you to prove your case, not up to me to prove that you're wrong or to do your research for you. It's just that you are too intellectually lazy to do it yourself.
All right. Well, that's I've just felt like someone's been told off there, Avery. So, but I mean, Avery's not wrong.
Sort of argument from people like DT, who they make some allegation, then they expect others to do the work. If you've got something to say, DT, back it up.
And this, I mean, you know, it's good. I mean, Avery's not wrong. If you've got a specific viewpoint, so sometimes I think people's views, Avery, are often. What's that? You see another one. Deflect, Avery. Your whole worldview would change if you dug deeper up.
Deeper.
So that's the one. That's the one you're laughing at, is it?
Yes. When I dig, I use a spade. I think when DT digs, she's using a teaspoon.
Yeah, and I think that sort of statement is, you know, I get a lot of that on my I have a conscience, do not murder. So those statements are
megalomaniac.
Those statements are fine.
According to the Holy Fable.
Look, Avery, as you are, I'm a pacifist. So, and I don't believe in capital punishment or the death of anybody, for that matter. Or the killing of people, period, or the fact that people get murdered. I do understand. Sorry.
Do you know who believes in capital punishment? The pro-birther movement.
Well, true. Often, I don't know. I don't know whether DT.
I don't know.
Are you pro gun? PWR says, are you pro guns, DT? Okay. Enough of that conversation around DT. The question really I wanted to ask, Avery, did she or he or they contact? They still haven't identified who they are. No. I'm a bot, says DT. Okay. Well, if you're a bot, you can fuck off, if that's the case, quite frankly. And we don't want to have anything to do with you if you're a bot.
Yeah.
So, okay, you're dismissed. Go away. She's just
she can't even spell my name when it's in front of her.
But we don't know whether it's her, Avery. We've got to be respectful here. But if you're a bot and you've declared yourself a bot, then clearly we don't want everything to do with you. Problem solved. Case finished. You're out of here.
Self to be a bot, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. Right, Avery, any final words before we go? We've been going for an hour. We've broken our record even.
Yeah.
So any thoughts you want to take before? Let's not go back to DT. We've done that, I think.
I think we...
Any final thoughts? Let's have a final thought about the ASEAN meeting and where Albo. Let's have a conversation about just finally where Albo is right at the moment and whether he's heading in the right directions and who gives a shit because his streets ahead in the polls. Liberal Party look like crap. One Nation have gained some votes, but who really gives a damn or care about them unless you're a Paul Murray from Sky News? So what do you think? Where are we at?
I do think Albo's doing a pretty reasonable job. It's a good thing signing that rare earth deal. I mean, rare earths are not that rare, actually. They're just difficult to extract.
And process.
And process, yeah.
Yeah.
That's good on him for signing that deal. It's good for us. All right. He's got India has. I'm not exactly sure what the agreement is, but it's something to do with the AUKUS deal, which India is supporting in some way. I can't remember exactly what the details were about that. I think he's doing a pretty reasonable job. I voted for him this year. It's the first time in my life that I voted for a national Labour Party. I voted for state Labour Party this year as well. Last year as well. Right? I was a Conservative for most of my life.
The poor thing, that explains just some of the deformities.
Yeah. It does. I did. I think Albo's doing a pretty reasonable job. He's doing a far better job than Dutton would ever have done.
Yeah.
Susan Lee, I think it's a joke. Or Lay, is it? I can't remember how you pronounce that name.
Yeah.
The current leader of the Liberal Party, Barnaby Joyce, is a joke. He's lost. He's got nowhere to go. I don't think he's got much more of a career in politics. And if he joins One Nation, that's going to be amusing. That is, watching those two going head to head, him and Pauline Hanson.
Yep.
Trump, my only fear with Albo is that we could be too close to the US.
That's my only fear too, is I think we should be separating ourselves as much as possible from the US. And I don't think there are many people who feel that way. I just think that given the cards that Albo's had, he's dealt with them the best that he can. Even though, had it been me, Avery, I think I would have stood up against him against Trump a long time ago, said he was a rambling idiot, treated him like shit, met up with him in a meeting and walked out, spat at him, urinated on him where I could, and ensured that the rest of the world knows that the rest of the world thinks he's a moron.
Well, I mean,
I think it's quite disingenuous the way we treat him.
With Trump, I wouldn't piss on him if he was on fire, unless I could urinate, piss out gasoline. I would piss on.
Exactly. So anyway, so be it. Okay, Avery, thanks for the discussion again today.
Yeah.
It was lively. It was energetic, and we'll be doing the same thing next Thursday. Were you still thinking of doing a thing on Wednesday about religion?
Oh yeah, but not about abortion, right?
Not about no. We'll avoid that entirely, and we'll ignore DT completely.
Yeah, we'll just do that
because she's a bot after all.
We'll do that video for DT, especially for DT.
Yeah, and I think the other thing I need to say finally about that involvement with that person is that for some reason she gained a sense of importance and significance. And I think that's a wee bit sad, quite frankly. I don't know whether this person sitting in their basement wondering what in the hell to do with their life. But nevertheless, she or he or they did get some sort of acknowledgement.
Yeah.
We did a good job. Thanks, buddy. Really appreciate it. Just want to say to everybody, please remember to subscribe to my channel. ring the bell for further notifications. That does help me, and I really appreciate it. And remember that on Tuesday, providing it all works, don't know what worked with Avery today, but not with me on Tuesday, but we'll do a live feed where we cover all the discussions we need to have, and we also will look at the news of the day and everything in between. In the meantime, take care, and we hope to see you then.